They asked me, what do you think about the White Sox hiring? And I said, I would use it as an opportunity to interview 29 other teams, assistant GMs, and get ideas. But that's not what they chose to do. So I don't know how that's really bad. Listen, I played with Chris Getz. I've had conversations with Chris Getz. I know Jerry Reinsdorf very well. I wasn't like I was like, man, these guys suck and this and that. I'm just like, why would we not do this? And they had an awful year last year. They were the worst team in the history of baseball last year. Any criticism you get when you're the worst team in history of baseball, what am I supposed to go on my show and say, man, Dave, you know what? The White Sox are really good this year. It's really positive energy. Like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell the truth about how I feel. And the only thing I know is being myself and being honest.
All right, but before we get to AJ Pierzynski, you guys know what we're going to talk about. It's the great tasting, less filling Miller Lite. It is the official beer sponsor of The Stretch and Barstool Chicago. So from holiday gatherings, which are wrapping up, office parties, to fireside conversations, and football Sundays, winter means more with moments with the coolest people in your life. And we're having a baseball discussion today. There's nothing like a nice Miller Lite on a hot sunny day at the ballpark. It's just the absolute best. So it's right around the corner. We got snow all over the place in Chicago today, snow and ice, but we're almost there. We're almost through to the other side. And make these moments even better with Miller Lite, the great tasting light beer for people who love beer. A new year is a perfect time for friends, family, and great tasting light beer. It tastes like Miller time. The taste you can depend on. No games, no gimmicks, just a great beer for people who like beer. Miller Lite is brewed for taste. It hits different than other light beers. I hope we get to have some Arizona Millers with AJ Pierzynski. We're going out there, I believe, in March. So it is always Miller Lite. You're going to love it. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/stretch to find delivery options near you. Why leave the house when we got weather like this? So just go to MillerLite.com/stretch. You'll find those delivery options. Or, as always, you can pick up Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer because this is Chicago. It is Chicago's beer. It tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Again, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. All right, and let's get to AJ Pierzynski. All right, before we get to AJ Pierzynski, though, we got breaking news. RIP Virginia McCaskey. So 102 years old. It feels like this day was always coming. I never heard any rumors of her being sick, but this is obviously a huge day for Chicago, the Bears. Condolences to George and the rest of the family, but we are in limbo world now.
Limbo world for sure. Rest in peace to Virginia. 102 years is a hell of a life. Not going to say I necessarily feel bad for someone for living that long, but nevertheless, now that our grieving period has ceased to exist, we've
paid our respects.
We've paid our respects.
Yeah.
What now? Where to?
Yeah,
Who's got the team? Is it Pat Ryan, George? Who? She's got 9 kids too.
I think it was 11.
I thought it was 9, but it's a lot. No, whatever the number is, it's a lot. And so I got to imagine there's going to be a lot of kids fighting for a slice of the pie.
11 kids, 8 sons, 3 daughters. So a lot.
And a lot of grandkids, obviously, if that's the case.
And that's what is going to be fascinating to see how it all shakes out, because George is obviously the chairman, but there is the stipulation that once Virginia passes, her shares of the team are split amongst all, the 11 children, and then some go to the grandchildren as well. So who knows what's next? How old is George?
70?
We'll pull that 70. Up too. He's 68 years old, so he's not exactly a spring chicken either.
Neither is Pat Ryan. Pat Ryan's like 85, 87 years old.
He's up there as well. So now it becomes a thing like who is going to be in control, and if there are 11 kids and all these grandchildren, the McCaskies as a collective still have the majority of the shares. I believe Pat Ryan and the Ryan family are at kind of like 22%, are technically the one single largest shareholder. But if the McCaskies can keep their group and their voting block together, they would still have all the power. But who knows? I mean, you might have people who want to sell. You might have people.
I'd imagine it'll be pretty ugly, right?
I don't know. I don't know their family dynamics, but it is certainly going to change things. And I made the joke when they hired Ben Johnson that maybe George just has power of attorney, and because that's
you were probably.
I might have been on something.
I don't
want
to say might. I want to say you were probably onto something.
it's the first time they've ever really opened up the checkbook for a big time coach and the staff and all that. So $13 million a year, that is way outside anything the Bears have ever been willing to do. Even like they wouldn't even fly people in private, which they did this time too.
Southwest,
right? So yeah, it is going to be crazy and fascinating to see how it shakes out. I wonder if they will just decide to sell. I just looked it up. The most recent NFL team to sell was the Washington Commanders. They went for just over $6 billion in 2023. Yeah. I would assume, and they have stadium issues as well, so it's not like they have they have to build one. I think they are building one. It's not like they're that dissimilar, and you would assume that the Bears, bigger market, bigger brand, that if the Commanders just sold for $6 billion. It might be 8, it might be 10. So like if you're one of these 30-something shareholders of the McCaskey family and you're in line, and I'm making up numbers completely, for $200 million for your share, it'd be a hard thing to be like, no, I'll be the 31st shareholder
and not have a say
and not have any power, or just take your money and fuck off.
Yeah.
It is also crazy that the original purchase price of the Bears by Papa Bear Hallis, literally $100.
$100.
Pretty good ROI.
Pretty decent.
It took
ROI for the family.
Took over 100 years, but yeah, that's insane. You got to figure Kevin Warren. All these people are now like kind of swarming around, trying to. It's going to be like Game of Thrones. That's
exactly what I'm saying. It's probably going to be ugly. I'm not even saying with necessarily the McCaskey family, but this is a.
But it did get ugly with the Wirtzes and the Blackhawks, because you had when the old man, Bill Wirtz, died. Mm-hmm. Peter was the son who worked for the Blackhawks, but then Rocky ended up getting the team, and they sued each other, and I think there's still some ongoing family dynamics there.
Exactly right.
When you get to this, George would be the third generation technically, then there's all the grandchildren underneath him. That you're into like the third and fourth generations of this thing that was bought for $100 and is now to individual shareholders could be
hundreds of millions of dollars,
life-changing kind of money.
Exactly.
So, and George has always said that he's not a football guy. He has also said that there is a plan in place and that they will do everything they can, and they have a succession plan in place to keep control of the team. So maybe they do. I don't know, but with all the stadium limbo, and now it'll be very, very fascinating to see how this plays out. And it is a new era where we have a new coach and a new quarterback and a new head of state, so to speak, because Virginia is.
Now I understand that it's largely political between the organization and the state. However, now that there is a change of hands, or there will be. You wonder if the stadium moves. At least I'm wondering if the stadium moves faster, like figuring out where it's going to be.
I don't think it can. I think it probably moves. I mean, it depends on how they think that impacts a potential sale of the team. I don't think Virginia was really instrumental in Chicago versus Arlington.
I would imagine the family wanted to keep it where it is. That's just a guess.
Then why?
But if like a new owner comes in,
the family predates Kevin Warren. The family made the move to get with Ted Phillips to get the Arlington land.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking out loud.
It was Kevin Warren who, reintroduced the idea of staying at the lakefront. So that'll be very, very interesting.
It's a weird time. This is a weird feeling.
Yeah, and it does feel, it's like shitty to say, feels like everything's on the up and up. Like you have your quarterback, you have your head coach. There will be some struggles here in this transition of power, if there is one at all. But it does feel like, all right, well, maybe if we had this barrier where Virginia never wanted to loosen the purse strings, and that has changed, and now she is completely out of the picture, that maybe
literally she's out of the picture.
Yeah. So then maybe the Bears operate like a team in the. You like that joke, Dave? Yeah. That they can operate like a team in the 21st century, like a modern NFL team, which would include getting a stadium. I mean, my dream is to have a Bezos come in and just be like, well, here's $8 billion, which I don't think that's out of the question. He's been sniffing around teams for a long time.
And that is chump change to him.
He won't even notice it's gone.
Like any one of those guys wouldn't.
Yeah.
All right. Well, weird times. And we recorded with AJ prior to the news of Virginia passing.
This was an emergency added segment.
This is an added segment. Otherwise, we would have, I'm sure, mentioned it in the AJ segment. But on that note, it is now baseball season. Pitchers and catchers are reporting less than a week from now. I'm sure a lot of players are already down in Glendale and where are the Cubs? Mesa, and it's baseball season. I'm not particularly excited about it, but AJ will do his best over the next 30 minutes to get us pumped up for that.
It was good. It was a good chat with AJ.
Yeah, it was a good chat.
Yeah, so
we'll see him again in a month. It sounds like maybe down in Arizona ourselves. So without further ado, AJ Pierzynski. Whoosh. We're joined on the interview portion of the show today by White Sox legend, national media legend of Foul Territory TV right now. We're joined by AJ Pierzynski. AJ, thanks for coming on last minute. Figured it'd be a good time to chop it up with you about White Sox, about the Cubs, about the league-wide happenings. And first things first, I saw Mark Burley bought like a shit ton of White Sox fans beer last week. Why weren't you there with your old battery mate?
I wasn't invited, first of all, but so that would be, it's tough. I don't really like to show up to places I'm not invited. I usually like to go places where I'm invited, which is fine. Listen, Mark got his moment, and I'm happy for Mark. I'm super happy for Mark. Now, Mark, when he bought the beers, I just thought it was funny that miraculously they had tickets printed before he bought the beers. So how did they know he was going to do that? I don't know. But it was a great gesture. It was a great gesture from the White Sox and from Mark to do that for everybody. I don't know how Sox Fest went. I didn't really pay attention to it. We were at the Foul Territory. We did the BBWAAs where they hand out the MVP and the Cy Youngs. And, I was talking to Barry Bonds and Tarek Skubal and Chris Sale and managers of the year and people like that. So, I hope it went well for him, and I hope I'm happy for Mark to get the recognition he deserves.
Is there anything about you where you're like, why wasn't I invited? Because as a fan, as a big White Sox fan, it was you, Burley, JD. It infuriates me that you weren't invited, and we all know the reason.
It's fine. You know what? It's fine.
Not, though. It's not.
No, it's fine. You know why it's fine? Because apparently, they didn't invite anybody. They invited 3 people, which really seems odd to me. Now, I know some other people got invited. They couldn't make it.
Sure.
But it's funny to me they had 3 of the 05. They have one thing really to celebrate this year, the 2005 World Series.
That's right.
That's 20 years ago. And they had 3 people there from it. They had Freddie, Contreras, and Burley, and they didn't have any position players. Ozzie wasn't there. None of the coaches were there. To me, it just seems like they didn't want that many 05 guys there. They want to concentrate on the team this year.
You know what? Fine. And that is fine. If that is the actual reason, I don't think that is the actual reason, but it's because you're outspoken about the team and the state of the organization. But to me, like, if they want to repent their sins, which they've been the worst sinners in baseball for a few years now, for a long time. And if they want to do that, they suck up their pride. They're like, you know what? This guy's been trashing us, and rightfully so. We need to get him there because he was like every bit as big a reason they won the only World Series in their organization's existence. And I don't count anything that happened 100 years ago, but like, I'm trying to forget all that right now. So where's your head at entering the 2025 season?
Well, my question is, what did I trash? That's what I want to know. I still don't understand when you say like I trashed.
Yeah,
I didn't really. I just asked a question about, what I do a show every day on Foul Territory, and they asked me, what do you think about the White Sox hiring? And I said I would use it as an opportunity to interview 29 other teams, assistant GMs, and get ideas, but that's not what they chose to do. So I don't know how that's really bad. Listen, I played with Chris Getz. I've had conversations with Chris Getz. I know Jerry Reinsdorf very well. I wasn't like I was like, man, these guys suck and this and that. I'm just like, why would we not do this? And they had an awful year last year. They were the worst team in the history of baseball last year. Any criticism you get when you're the worst team in history of baseball, what am I supposed to go on my show and say, man, Dave, you know what? The White Sox are really good this year. It's really positive energy. Like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell the truth about how I feel. And the only thing I know is being myself and being honest. Like, you do a show, you do a lot of shows. If you're not yourself and you're not true to yourself, people know that. They look at you and go, what's this clown doing? Faking what he's saying or faking his love or his hate for a team. Just that, like, that's not true to yourself. And I don't agree with that. So I just think, like, listen, man, they weren't very good. They're going to be better this year because they can't be worse.
Well, are they?
I think they could be worse.
I mean,
you think they could lose? No, they can't lose more than 121 games.
So there's a.
They didn't do a lot to improve.
They, on paper, are actually worse than, like, I'm looking at the over-under. Vegas has them at 51.5 games. That's what Vegas thinks. And Vegas, to me, is, like, better than any computer analytic genius out there. Vegas knows what they're doing. There wouldn't be Vegas without them knowing what they're doing. There was the other tweet. I don't know if you know Dan Szymborski. He's a mega nerd, but he said if the Sox added Shohei, Judge, and Skubal, they'd still only be projected to win 72 games. And I know they're bottoming out, and I know they, like, in the back of my head, they had to start from scratch again. It's what I see in a year or two from now when, we're trying to compete. I don't think they're going to complement that, especially because you got another CBA looming in a couple years, you know? So it's like, where, like, you're a White Sox fan, I'm a White Sox fan, all the Whites, where is the hope? Because to me, it's years down the road, you know?
The hope is years. You're right, what you just said. Now, next year's free agent class isn't very good. I mean, there are some names, but not like it was this year. This year was kind of the year when everyone was there to go get. Yep. They didn't do that, obviously. So they're going to have to make some true trades. They're going to have to hope that all these guys develop into stars. And we saw how that turned out last time when they had the Jimenez, Cease, Moncada. Some of them worked out, some of them didn't work out, right? Crochet. I mean, we had Chuck Garfien on the other day, and I love Chuck. I think he's great at what he does, but He's like, well, they lost so many games because Crochet hamstrung them because of the way he was starting, and then it put the bullpen in bad spots. I'm like, then why are you starting them, right? If you're not going to trade them, why are you starting them? And Chuck was like, well, they had to start him to prove he could make a start every fifth day. And I'm like, but doing 3 innings at a time, that doesn't really help anybody.
You're a long reliever.
Exactly. And then we had JJ Cooper on yesterday, and we were talking about the top 30 farm system rankings. White Sox are 4th. And Noah Schultz is their highest prospect. Noah Schultz has never thrown 5 innings in a professional game. He's never been into the 5th inning. He was 2 full years in the minor leagues. Mm-hmm. He's never pitched into the 5th inning in a start. Now, you can't count on him coming to the big leagues this year and be like, hey, Noah, we need you to throw 5, 6, 7 innings every 5th day. He's never done it. He's throwing once a week, and he's throwing 4. They've kept him to 4 innings or less. Like, at some point, you got to take the reins off a lot of these guys. And this isn't just the White Sox. This is a lot of organizations, and say, hey, we got to see it. But the minor leagues aren't set up that way. The minor leaguers play 6 games a week. They get 1 day off a week, right? And they play 6-game series, so they need 6 starters. They pitch once a week. Guess what? They get to the big leagues, they got to throw every 5 days.
And their arms are falling off. It's a
system that doesn't make sense.
It really doesn't. And I guess I'm kind of at the point where I'm an old man yells at cloud, and I do think I don't want to use the word bully, but you need to tell these kids, like, it became such a white collar sport somewhere in that stretch from like 05 when I was in high school till now. When did that happen, and why did that happen? Like, why are we babying these kids? Like, Noah Schultz, to me, has a fresh arm, and he should be like, you should be like extending him into the 6th, 7th innings and seeing that. I mean, if it's once a week, whatever, but eventually, like right now, like you said, and I don't trust that, like, the guy that was in charge of development is still there, you know, and he says he's a different guy. Obviously, Brian Bannister, all these hires on paper look good. I don't know that the process has really changed all that much in, like, because, like, right, this offseason, for instance, Ramon Laureano just signed with the O's. The O's have a logjam of outfielders, as you know, and it's like, why aren't the White Sox signing someone like that to flip for more prospects to hedge against, you know?
Why don't bad teams do this? Pittsburgh kind of did this for a couple of years, and last year they held on to some guys because they thought they were in the race, even though they really weren't, right? A lot of the bad teams do this. They'll get these veteran guys on these one-year deals and turn them around. The reason is they don't want to spend the money in case they get. But no 1-year deal is a bad 1-year deal for me. I mean, Pete Alonso just signed a 1-year deal basically to go back to the Mets.
And, like, even like, so here's another thing. So back in 2005, your guys' total payroll to end the year was about $76 million, $75.69 to be exact. This year, they're the White Sox, and 20 years later, with inflation and exploding salaries and everything, are entering the 2025 season with about a $73 million payroll. Obviously, that's going to. If they would have I mean, obviously there's more than just like saying, hey, Alonso, here's 1 year, $30 million. That's a guy you could flip at the deadline, Give him his $30 million. It'd be 15 for a year or so. Your payroll is still minuscule, but then you can maybe get a hoarder. Like, why aren't they doing this shit? It's like, no,
I don't know.
They're Latin American. Like, we haven't seen. They just sound like the 20th best Latin American prospect 2 weeks ago. Like, what's changed? So,
I don't know. Dave, here's the thing. We got to give it a couple years. I want to be positive. I know you go more negative. You got new hair and you've gone more negative, which is hilarious to me. Like, most people get new hair and they're like, man, I look better, so I'm going to be more positive about my life.
His life hasn't fundamentally changed with the hair.
Okay. I thought maybe, he might get, better looks from people when he walks down the street. I don't know how that works.
Ironically enough, as soon as I shaved it for the surgery, everybody was telling me how I should just keep it. So it went from making fun of me for being bald to once I was actually like fully bald, they're like, oh no, you look so great. So now that my hair's grown in, I have turned like even into more of a curmudgeon. But I honestly, I blame.
No, but here's my thing. Let's get back to the point here. Like, I got to give him a couple years, right? Chris Getz has been on the job for 1 year. Okay. He was handed whatever you want to call it.
Situation for sure.
A bad situation. Right. And so he's had 1 year to implement his system. Let's see if the Noah Schultz, the Hagen Smiths, the Colson Montgomerys, the whoever you want to throw in there, what's the guy, Braden Montgomery, the guy they just traded for, right? The Kyle Teal, the Edgar Kiro, those guys turn into something with the development process they're putting in. Because all I heard for Chris Getz was, I was handcuffed as the development guy, right? From Kenny and Rick. Well, they're gone. So now it's all on him. Let's see if it works out. I hope it does.
I hope it does too. But my larger point is, I think that 8 years ago now, we banked on all that top-ranked farm system, Mancada, Eloy, Cease, who obviously was a hit, Robert, who was a hit, and they didn't. They put all their eggs in those guys' baskets, and I still feel like they're doing that. I don't know if you just read Keith Law's write-up on Colson Montgomery. He made it seem like he was like a left-handed, platoon guy. Like, that was his future. Did you see that article?
I didn't see that article because we deal with Baseball America, so I see what J.J. Cooper writes and those guys. So I didn't see Keith Law.
It was a salacious write-up on Colson Montgomery, and it just gives me pause because I'm like, you need more than this, and I also am at the wait and see, and I don't want to be negative, and hope springs eternal, as they say, and it's a new year, but we're arguing if they're going to win 60 games or not. It's like, oh no, they're going to win 60 games.
I'll take the under on that this year. I'm just saying. I'll take them losing 100 this year, over 100 this year.
It's got to be. I mean, they have 20 games to make up just to lose 99. More than that, It's
That's
insane.
what I'm saying. But think about this. If you're a fan, and you're a fan, I'm a fan. If they win 55 games this year and only lose 107, they made up almost 15 games.
It's crazy.
Right?
It's
like
insane.
That, and people will be like, man, look how much better they are.
Most improved team in baseball, probably,
right?
If they do that.
I mean, it's amazing. So it's all about expectations. How tempered are your expectations? Now, if they go out and finish 500, holy crap, what a year.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to talk to you guys about the biggest sporting event going on. This ain't the little itty-bitty, teeny-tiny bowl. This is the Super Bowl. It's Super Bowl 59. Get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 59. Scoring touchdowns is key to hoisting the Vince Lombardi Trophy, and you have a shot to score big by betting on them at DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Ready to place your first bet? Try betting on something simple like a player to score 6. Go to DraftKings Sportsbook app and make your pick. New DraftKings customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. So make sure you're doing that. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use promo code MID. That's code MID for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. We did a whole show on Monday about different props and everything like that. This is the last football game of the year. You got to check out the props. DraftKings has all the best ones you need. So again, just download DraftKings Sportsbook app and use that code MID. Great deals on there. Make the Super Bowl a little bit more fun. So check them out. And now back to AJ Pierzynski.
But like that, it all brings me back to you've heard the quote as well. Jerry Ryan's like, shoot for second place, keep that carrot dangling. They'll always think that there's more at the end. And if you're reading the tea leaves, you got the CBA, like that is going to be owner versus owner. It's going to be brutal after next year. You just know that the 2025 season and 2026 seasons are complete punts. And as a fan, that is disheartening to me. So,
but hey, at least you got the Bulls and the Blackhawks right now.
Yeah, and the Bears, the Cubs. As much as I fucking hate that team, is the only thing.
Cubs kind of had a nice winter.
They had a really good offseason. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
They had Presley, then they throw in Brazier if he works out like he did last year. Kyle Tucker's a nice addition. Now, I'm thinking if they go get Bregman, that's a pretty damn good offseason for any team. And we had Patrick Mooney on yesterday, and we kind of said that. And I said the same thing as you, Dave. I was like, as much as this pains me to say this, they had a nice offseason, especially throwing Bregman. That's a hell of an offseason for a team. In a division, much like the AL Central or the White Sox are, that's very winnable because the Pirates aren't going to be that good. The Cardinals have said we're punting, right? The Brewers have lost Devin Williams, a bunch of people to their team, right? Willie Adames.
Yep.
And then the Reds, they were supposed to be good last year and they didn't do anything. How much is Tito Francona going to make a difference? But that division, much like AL Central, is very winnable.
Yeah.
Now, why, like you said something in your last episode that it was like more the collective, all you guys said it, something I disagree with. You're like, it's not that I disagree with, it's that I disagree with their process, but you're like in layman's terms, the Ricketts and their front office they're a conservative bunch. And as someone who lives in Chicago that sees how fucking packed Wrigleyville and everything around it is, that stadium every day, it makes me sick as a baseball fan that they aren't the Midwest Dodgers or Mets. How is that?
I agree.
How is that not a thing? Like, if they don't extend Kyle Tucker, like I will laugh at it, but I will be like, you guys should be burning this stadium to the ground. You guys should be burning this stadium. If they don't get Alex Bregman, they should be burning the stadium to the ground because they should be using their financial might to bully around all those little flyover cities in their division, and they don't.
But I think if they don't sign Tucker, you will see people up in arms about it. The Stove.
I will be up in arms about it.
The Stove has been turned up on them a little bit, and it does feel like maybe not that they reacted to it, but they made way more bold moves this year than they did last year. Last year they finished with 83 wins, and it felt like a major disappointment. Do you think that they have done enough already, Bregman aside, to push towards 90 wins and win the division?
I think they've made some right moves. Kyle Tucker is a game changer if he's healthy. He wasn't healthy last year. Well, when Kyle Tucker's healthy, he's a game changer for me. First of all, he's left-handed. He hits for power. He plays a Gold Glove outfield.
Steals bases.
It opens it up. And you know what else they did? They got rid of Cody Bellinger, which, say what you want about Bellinger, but you know what? He was playing center field where now they have Pete Crow Armstrong, right? It opens up first base.
Yep.
It opens up DH for Suzuki if that's where they want to put him. You have Happen left. You have Horner at second. You have a shortstop that's in a good spot in Dansby Swanson. Now, is it going to be Matt Shaw? Is it going to be Alex Bregman at third base? They have some options now. And I love what they did. Again, it pains me to say that, but they have enough right now to win that division if they stay healthy. Imanaga and Steele and Taillon, top of that rotation, that's already better, I would say, than anybody else in that division. Don't you think, for the top three?
Probably.
I think they're in a good spot. And I think, again, it's like the AL Central, like we keep saying, and we're saying on here, they're winnable. The Twins, we did PECOTA rankings yesterday. The Twins, who have done nothing the entire offseason until yesterday when they signed Harrison Bader, are projected to win the division at 85 wins. What are we talking about? Right? The Tigers, Royals, and Guardians made the postseason last year. They're barely looking to finish 500. They're like 82, 80, and 79 wins, and you have the White Sox down to like 61, I think they put them at. Right? But, one big move in the AL Central, NL Central can sway the division either way.
And it to me, there's a larger issue at play where organizations just there's 3 or 4 or 5 organizations that are hell bent on victory, and 25 that are just like if we get there, hopefully magic happens in the playoffs and we ride?
I'd put it more. I always say every year there's about 10 that go into the year really trying, 20 that are like, 10 that are like, we'll see, and then 10 that are like, we have no chance. We're not even going to. I mean, the Marlins, obviously, the White Sox this year, the Pirates you can throw in that mix, right? There's some other teams you can look around, the Rockies, and say, you know, they have no chance, right, to make the playoffs. But then there's 10 that really try. You can name them: the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks, the Yankees, the Mets,
Astros.
Yeah, the Astros. I mean, I think the Rangers, I think, are, you know, obviously. And then there's 10 that are like, well, if we get close, we'll try and make a move. You can throw the Brewers, Cubs, Reds, the AL Central teams in there, right? They're like, oh, we're good enough, but we'll see where we are in July. And then if we have to make a move and bring on payroll, we will. So it's a weird system the way it is. I don't know. I just wish I wish it would go back, you know, and I don't hate, like you said, old man yelling at clouds, right? But my thing is every team used to try and win, right? They used to say, well, we had a bad year. If we can just get to 500, we can build on it and sign some people and make a run. But nowadays they're like, oh, we're going to – I mean, do you ever remember a team coming out and saying, guess what, guys? We're going to lose over 100 games, and the fans are going to be happy about it because we have prospects.
It's became that. Like,
I know,
and I got I'll say indoctrinated into believing that back in 2016. I'm like, trade everybody, trade Sale, trade Eaton, trade Quintana, trade everybody with the pulse, hoard the prospects, and build from the ground up. Look what the Astros did. The Cubs just did it and won the World Series a month before they traded Sale and Eaton and Quintana and them. I understand that, but like at the same time, I'm like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. It's like
hold on, before you keep going, what did those teams do though to get to the next level?
They complimented and
what did the Cubs? Who did the Cubs bring in?
John
Yes,
Lester.
They had Rizzo, Bryant, Contreras, those guys. Who'd they bring in?
They brought
Lester,
in John Lackey,
Hayward, Fowler, right?
They traded for Arrieta when he was a bum. Yeah.
Right? Those guys helped them win. And I mean, Schwarber, you know, everyone looks at, oh, they were homegrown. Schwarber, you know, Rizzo, Bryant. But if you really dig into their roster that year, they brought in some dudes that really helped them.
Yeah. And then they went out and got Chapman too.
Yeah, Chapman, right? Yep. Another guy. I mean, it was a trade in the middle. So you have to supplement. The Astros, what did they go do? They went and got Verlander, right?
Mm-hmm.
They went and got some guys that could help them finish off the rebuild. At some point, you have to pick the guys and say, I mean, look at the Nationals, right? They went out and got Scherzer and those guys to win in 19. So what did they do? Patrick Corbin. You rebuild, you get the prospects, and what you have to figure out is like, all right, we're not very good at developing pitchers. We're not very good at developing power. Let's go get it in the free agent market or via trade. Now, you look at a team like the Orioles, right? They've been in a rebuild forever. They're getting to the playoffs, but you talked about the logjam. They're still hoarding their prospects.
That doesn't make sense to me. Yeah,
get Garrett Crochet. Go get Dylan Cease. You have the prospect capital. Don't trade your 1, 2, 3. Do what the Red Sox did to get Crochet. They traded like 4, 5, 9, 10, and they kept their big three, and they have the number one
farm system in baseball. Right, exactly. It does like why. Like they've got it's almost where I imagine in my head like old cigar lounge with the 30 the 30 main owners in baseball, like, oh, we got the fan bases like right where we want them. They're rooting for us to lose right now. And a lot of fan bases are at the point, like, I understand White Sox fans were like, they need to bottom out, just keep losing, get that number one pick because they couldn't get it last year because the new draft rules. But it's how long do we have to root for losses? Like it's backwards to me at this point. Like, and I guess we'll kind of transition here on that. Like, as a former player, what were you ever on the like committee that what is the, like the team rep or whatever? Who was that for you guys?
I was never it. I went to some negotiations when they were in Chicago during some negotiating years.
Mm-hmm.
When I was with the White Sox. Geez, I'm trying to think who it was. I don't even, Matt Thornton maybe? I don't even remember because it kind of changes every year or two depending on who's there. I know in Minnesota we had like Denny Hawking did it. It was never me, but I definitely went to some negotiations. And there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, man. It's crazy. You know, both sides throw out these crazy proposals just so they can get, we gave up, you know, the golden at bat rule so the players could get whatever the thing is. So it's always like there's crazy stuff that goes on.
Everything's just a form of leverage.
Yeah, and I want to go back to that comment, and that's where I feel like Cubs fans are annoyed. I need you to just be quiet for 1 second. I don't think any Cubs fans expect to spend like the Dodgers or the Mets specifically. Like they're to me, they're in a different stratosphere. But when you're describe them as one of the 10 teams that are like, we'll see what happens in July, that part infuriates me because they should be perpetually every year in the top 10 in spending because the brand is strong, the ballpark is full, they own all the real estate in and around Wrigley now. Like that's a cash cow. So that part, it's like if they're in that group of 10, that's disgusting to me. And it's like if they don't sign Kyle Tucker, there should be, people with pitchforks. What do you think that number for Kyle Tucker will end up being? Do you have any insight on that?
Gosh.
It's going to be start with a 3. He's that good.
You think?
I think absolutely. I mean,
how old will he be?
28, 29?
I think he just turned 28.
Yeah.
So he's going to be 28, 29 going into free agency?
I don't know what it is with him where he doesn't get love.
I think he's looking at they spread the years out depending on where he goes. I mean, I think he's looking at least 10, 250 to 300. I think that's not a bad. I mean, if he has a good year, now he has to go out and perform like he did, because last year was a wasted year kind of for him because he was hurt.
Yeah.
Although his numbers when he was healthy was good.
Still hit 23 bombs. Yeah.
But why can't the Cubs afford that? Tell me why the Cubs can't go, hey, here's 10 years, 280, right? That's $28 million a year for 10 years. I mean, he'll end it at 38, 39, but you pay for the first 7 in the last 3. You're just like, we threw those extra 3 in to lower the AAV.
But 28 million a year, like we just saw the same thing with Harper. 28 million a year 10 years from now is going to be peanuts. Like when Harper signed, I think he's making 23.3 million a year is his average AAV. That is nothing for Bryce Harper anymore. We got guys pushing what Shohei's at 70 technically, I guess.
2. He's making 2.
I know he's making 2. I know he's making 2, but the AAV is 70. Like it's penny wise, pound foolish, I think. And I guess we'll kind of just wrap up with that. Like I want to know, like, if, like, going back to my original question, if you are sitting in these negotiations, what is a good balance that will make the owners happy and the players happy? Is that just impossible?
I mean, it's pretty much impossible because here's the problem. Look. I mean, I know you guys pay attention to all the sports, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at the NBA. Okay. Look at the NFL. Look at the NHL. They all have salary caps, right? What do they argue over every CBA? The owners are hiding money, right? The Players Association say, "Oh, well, our projected revenue was $10 billion," and the owners are like, "No, it was $7 billion," right? And their salary caps are based off the revenue. So how do you, unless the owners are going to open the books, find me an owner that'll open the books. Find me an owner that will open the books. They
rip on me for saying this. I tell Jerry, I'm like, open the books. Show us that you're losing all this money.
It's a shell game, okay? So what they do is we'll just use the White Sox because I know you're a White Sox fan, right? And I don't know, this is not a true statement, so please, nobody out there say, like, he's saying these numbers, whatever, or these companies. But they say the White Sox, let's say White Sox LLC is the team part, right? So they get the ticket revenue from the tickets. Well, then they have another company that is White Sox Baseball LLC that gets the parking.
Yes.
And then they have another one that's like concessions at White Sox LLC that gets the concessions. And then they have another one that's like signage at White Sox LLC that gets all the advertising in the stadium. And then they have another one that owns the Chicago Sports Network, right? And then, but what do they say? We're losing money on the White Sox, the main one, but all the other companies are making money.
Hand over fist.
So it's weird unless you can get figured out. Now, like the Braves are a little different. They're publicly traded. So you can see what they made. They made like, I don't know, 90 million or something crazy last year. I don't know what the number exact was, but they have to show they have to actually open the books because they're publicly traded. They're owned by Liberty Media, right? So they have to kind of show what they do. But every other company, every other team, they can say whatever they want because they're never going to say, "Hey guys, here's our books that open. Let's have Elon Musk and the Doge people or whoever from whatever the United States come in and audit it. I mean, like, I don't know why they don't have to. So why would they do it? Right. And it's just one of those crazy things. And I don't know. I mean, maybe, get someone to come in and do that, but it'll never happen because they don't want you to see those things because then you really know the truth, and the truth sometimes is bad or it can be good depending on what side you are. And, it's just, it's an argument that'll never be solved.
It'll never, and that,
yeah,
that's a struggle for me as a fan of the game of baseball.
Yeah,
and like,
we'll see what happens with the Ricketts if they do pay Tucker, and they're gonna have to pay Steele soon. Yep. They have a lot of guys that are. It's like, are you serious about being owners, or are you just gonna ride on 2016 forever? And I feel like we'll know that in the next 12,
they have that
12 to 18
blueprint.
months.
I mean, the Bears have done it for 40 whatever years. The White Sox are doing it right now. I mean, like I asked Rowan this, like,
it's time. It's time for the Bears to let's go. Let's go. Bears.
It does feel.
Yeah.
It does
as a Bears fan, I mean, it's time. Like, it's time.
It does feel like there has been a shift because they just paid Ben Johnson a shit ton of money. They're giving him whatever he wants financially to fill out his staff. So we'll see. It does feel like the Bears finally, like, enough was enough. Like, we're gonna waste Caleb Williams if we don't get this turned around the right way. And they were bold about it. And it was shockingly refreshing to see. I still can't believe
to do the thing that was obvious. Shocking out of.
Yeah, exactly.
Chicago organization.
You thought they were going to bring in like Big Cat to coach or something?
Pretty much.
I thought it would be like the eighth best choice is what I was in.
It would have been like the Bucks OC.
Yeah, like when Mike McCarthy's name was out there, and it's like the Cowboys just let him walk because he's not the guy. But that felt like a very Bears.
But he gets 9 wins.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so
9-8, baby.
That was nice
Tomlin,
to see.
Right? Mike Tomlin every year he never finishes under 500.
Yeah,
but they don't win playoff games.
Yeah, so I hope that the Cubs, that this was like, hey, this is a genuine rebuild, and you cannot make the argument that not signing Rizzo, Bryant, Baez was one of the smarter things they ever did.
Probably.
Because all of those guys kind of fell off a cliff, and now it's like, all right, you paid Dansby, you better pay Tucker, and it is kind of go time with this group because Happ is, he's 30. They got Swanson's over 30. It's like everyone kind of treat the Cubs like they're this young building team, but a lot of their core pieces are in their prime or on the downslope. So they have like a 3-4 year window where they really have to go for it. And if they don't go for it, then they're in White Sox land, basically.
Bad place to be.
Nobody wants to be in the White Sox land right now.
Nobody wants to be in White Sox land. I guess we can wrap it up there. Anything you'd like to get out to the people? Our audience.
I can't wait for you to come back on our show, David, because you give some great rants that we can blast out there to
clip up and let people
blast out there and get a good chuckle out of all the time.
Yep.
I mean, people say I'm White Sox homer, but you take the cake, so it's fun to have someone that's a little bit crazier than I am. Other than that, no, getting ready to start Fox stuff.
You coming to Chicago anytime soon?
Geez, I don't know. I got some stuff coming that I think you guys would like. Maybe we can get a special appearance by Dave. I'm going to be doing some stuff with the company, and we're going to have some 05 guys come in and do some Q&As and stuff like that. Not with the White Sox, to a different company. So, maybe we can get Dave to come.
Even better.
I would love to. You guys got me fired from my first job at Target.
How do you get fired from Target? I mean, unless you stole something.
I was just skipping shifts during the 2005 playoff run. I showed up. It was like November 5th. I literally just no-showed a couple shifts, and my boss he kept asking me to clock in, and I intentionally didn't clock in because I knew I was getting probably canned. And he finally talked me into clocking in because he couldn't fire me unless I was on the clock. And once I did, he's like, "Yeah, we're firing you for just not coming." I'm like, it was worth it. So, but I'm almost over thanking you guys because I want the current team to be good.
Me too.
I know you do, and that's why.
20 years, man. I mean, people are like, "Oh, you don't really want them to win. You want to be the last team." I'm like, "No, I want them to be good and win. Why not? We had our chance.
Right.
Now we're just old. Right now, I mean, I'm old now. Like, it's been a long time. Like, maybe the first couple years after I left, like, I don't want them to be good. It's been 20 years now. Like, it's time for the White Sox fans to have something to celebrate again. I mean, it gets old talking about the same, gosh, people are like, what happened 20 years ago? I'm like, man, I got I got no memory left from 20 years ago. There's been a lot of things that have happened in the last 20 years. So
I don't remember what I ate for breakfast this morning.
Right? So, I mean, listen, other than that, tune into Foul Territory when you're not watching the stretch on Barstool. We have great guests every day, 1 to 3 Eastern, 12 to 2 Central. I don't even know who's on today. But
yeah, you Braun and Kratz all do an awesome job. It's my go-to for just watching people chop it up about baseball now. It's you guys have turned into a great show. I hope you kind of turn into like the McAfee, a little bit of baseball. Is that the goal?
I hope one day they pay me like McAfee. That'd be awesome.
He's got a few $100 million in the bank, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I appreciate it, guys. It's good. It's always fun talking baseball with you guys. Go White Sox, and as much as it pains me to say, let's not go too much Cubs, okay? That's fine.
That's fine. I like when you guys hate us.
And have a great year.
Yeah, I'm very comfortable with the White Sox being jealous and hating the Cubs. So I hope that hope the Cubs give them reason to be jealous. Here's the
thing, and AJ, I want to hear what you think. Like, you obviously hate the Cubs. You had your rival. That's when the rivalry was at its best.
Mm-hmm.
The Cubs versus Sox, and we talked about that, how it's like it's not the same in LA, Dodgers and Angels like that. But I'm at the point where I don't even really hate the Cubs right now. Like I got bigger fish to fry, and I want to detest everything about that fan base, that organization, the players. I want to root against them, and I'm not even there right now because
nobody hates the White Sox more than Whitesox Dave.
Yes, pretty much.
Exactly.
And I hate them because I love them.
I know.
I want
right between love and hate. And you're more on the hate side than the love, but what you just said about the Cubs is actually true, because I honestly never hated the players. I mean, of course there was a couple there was one in particular that I don't personally care for that much, but most of them I actually really liked a lot. It was just more about the fans, and it wasn't even a hate thing. It was just more of, as the White Sox player, you're kind of like the little stepsister.
Sure.
So forever it was like, oh, the Cubs. Every time you open a newspaper, we win the World Series, they're like, oh, the Cubs next. You're like, shut up. So it just became kind of a thing, and the fans were awesome. Let me say that the fans in the Cubs and the White Sox, they're awesome. That rivalry, those were like the 6 games I looked forward to in the regular season more than any other ones, because I'm like, when do we get to go to Wrigley? When are they coming here? It's going to be crazy. It's going to be sold out. It's going to be fun as hell.
There'll be fights in the stands.
Yeah,
fights in the stands. It's going to be so fun. And I mean, listen, people are like, "Oh, you hate." I don't really hate the Cubs. They're kind of like, to me, right? It's not like I hate the Cubs. It's more of it's more fun to give them a little bit of crap, because if you don't give them a little bit of shit, then they're like, "Oh, we're just better," and it's always fun just to needle them. Right, just a little bit.
I understand people hating the Cubs fan base. We're a bunch of dick sucks who are just drinking beers and having a good time, and with the polo shirts on.
Just that freaking song they play, right?
I love the
my
song.
whole goal when I went to Wrigley was like, just don't let them play that stupid song they play. And I know it's for cancer research or whatever, which is awesome, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Cubs fans have embraced it, but as an opposing player, you're just like, I don't want to hear that song. Because if I hear that song, and I wish they still hung the L when they lost, right? They'd fly the L flag.
Yeah.
Does it really affect people's mood that much if they fly an L flag instead of a W flag? Come on, right? They had the Emus Catuli sign in right field. They covered it up because it was too depressing for the players to look at. Are you kidding me? I stared at that thing every time I was behind home plate. I was like, let's add another number to that thing, please.
Yeah. I know it's
I miss it so much.
This conversation's got me ready for baseball. So I appreciate you jumping on with us. I'm ready for warm weather and baseball, and if the sun's...
You guys going to Arizona?
We are. That's the plan. We don't have the dates yet, but we have been told that we're going. So looking forward.
Make it when I'm there, please.
When are you going?
We're there the 10th through the 14th.
Okay.
Of March.
So we haven't booked anything yet, so we can try to arrange it. It'd be great to do stuff with you out there.
I think
we're doing our show out there.
Okay, great.
You're there?
They were talking about the first week of March, but I think we can
probably do what we want.
Yeah.
That's the second week of March. I mean, it's not that much longer.
Yeah.
We're doing our show. We're doing Foul Territory out there, and we also have something coming up where we're doing we haven't announced it yet, but it'll be something cool with a bunch of players and stuff. So it'll be a fun week. We'll hit camps. We'll
awesome.
do a bunch of things with some players. So yeah, we'd love for you guys to come out, say hi, and if you're around, jump on.
That'd be great.
Hell yeah. Appreciate
All right,
you
AJ.
hopping on. That's
Appreciate
AJ
you.
Pierzynski, and on to the rest of the show. Thanks, AJ.
All right,
you
appreciate
Thanks,
coming on
guys.
last
Sorry I was
minute
a little
like
bit
that.
late, man.
No.
My son's John boat goes about 2 miles an hour. I mean, literally, and so I was out breaking in the motor for him, and I got a little far away, and I was coming home into the wind, and I was like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna be late."
Call
you're
the
good,
call
you're
the
good.
Coast Guard. Get 'em.
No. I'm on a lake. I know how to row. Okay,
All right.
I'm not Portnoy where I need the Coast Guard.
Yeah.
That would have been funny, though. That would have been a great headline. AJ Pierzynski stranded in the middle of his lake.
Oh, jeez.
Former White Sox player, AJ Pierzynski. But yeah, we'll let you go. I know you got to prep for your show in 45 minutes. So appreciate you, AJ. And yeah, we'll catch you in Arizona, all right?
All right, thanks, guys. Keep in touch.
Yep. Later, man.
All right, later.